Well, the jury reached a verdict in the Diddy sex trafficking trial, clearing him of the most serious charges. The hip hop mogul was found not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. However, he was found guilty of arranging transportation to engage in prostitution. Joining us now to discuss what this trial means for survivors of sexual violence is Simmons Kaleba, Vice President of Communications at RAINN. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Jennifer, what do high-profile cases like this one trigger for other survivors who are watching it all play out?
It can absolutely be re-traumatizing. We see a high-profile case like this, and we are looking for some accountability, hope for justice. And then to see it be incomplete in this way can be profoundly upsetting, and survivors are looking for some kind of hope. So it's been an interesting journey.
Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Venturas, took the stand and gave deeply personal testimony. How critical was her role in shaping the jury's view in this case?
You know, we can't know specifically how her testimony shaped this jury's view in this case, but what we do know is that when juries get to hear testimony from survivors directly, that not only for that jury, it gives a sense of the emotional impact, and it lets the jury and anyone in the courtroom, the judge, the entire system, hear that personal voice and let survivors know that when you stand up, when you speak out, that your voice can be heard, even if the end result is not the kind of result that you are wanting.
And the matter of consent came up often during this trial. Why do jurors get hung up on consent in cases of sexual violence or sex trafficking?
You know, that's such a good question. You know, juries are asked to do something very hard. They're asked to choose between something happening or not, a yes or no, a black or white kind of answer. And when you are talking about consent, consent it can be coerced. It can be induced through fear, financial inducement. The idea of consent and the idea that it can be revoked is something that I think we need to educate people about. They need to understand it's a prevention method, that when you can consent and then say, you know, actually, no, this is not something I want, that is a possibility, that you can change your mind. That's something I think we need to help people understand. And also that survivorship and what it looks like. You know, as Cassie's testifying, people are asking themselves, well, is that what it looks like when someone has been sexually violated or assaulted? Is that what survivorship looks like? And understanding that survivorship looks like a lot of things. So when you combine those two concepts together, that's something that I think the jury certainly would have taken into account, but we need to get a stronger sense of what consent means.
And what legal options do sexual violence survivors have that they can seek out?
There are a lot of avenues to justice, certainly. It's important and sobering, potentially, to realize that 95% of cases don't actually make it to trial. Most are settled out of court. 25 out of 1,000 cases or perpetrators don't ever see the inside of a jail. And so when you're talking about justice, understanding that there's lots of pathways to it, they can be personal and part of your healing journey. So if you go to RAINN at RAINN.org, and you can come to our website, you can call our National Sexual Assault Hotline, and you can learn, you know, what are the ways that you can heal, that you can be a part of this journey toward justice, and ultimately that you're not alone.
Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us and for all the work you and your organization RAINN does. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.